Hi, welcome to Gotta Ping, a careers podcast you should listen to if you want to grow your career online and offline. Hi, my name is Mei Ping, and I'm a professional career coach and international speaker with more than a decade of experience at some of the biggest companies in the world. To learn more about what I do, visit meiping.com. That's meiping.com. All right, let's jump right into today's episode. Hello everyone, this is Me Ping and welcome back to another episode of my Gotta Ping podcast, a podcast that you should listen to if you want to grow your corporate career. So in this next 30 days, we will be doing a client success story series where I'll be sharing with you guys 20 client success stories, be it in improving their work performance or improving their job search success, where they have made significant progress either in building their own work confidence, in getting a promotion or good performance rating, or actually landing multiple interviews as well as job offers also. So today I want to share with you a story for one of the first clients who worked with me when I first started career coaching in late 2019 and early 2020. So this is definitely a client from some time ago, but I also think that she is one of those who made significant transformation. And I think it's a really good story to illustrate to all of you that mindset is something that is so critical in terms of like actually making progress in your career. So as usual, I hope that this client's success story series will inspire you and empower you to really focus on growing your career in the corporate world and achieve the professional goals that you have set out for yourself. All right, so let's just dive into the story of my client. So my client so for this particular client, she is actually a high performer. So she spent quite I think about 5 years in one of the top global multinational companies in the branding and marketing position. So she was a high flyer in that global MNC. She was promoted almost every year. And at certain point in her career, she thought that maybe I'm ready to do something else. So she applied for another global multinational company. I can't name the name, but it's definitely a really big one that if I mention it, you will know it. So she joined that company, took on a more senior position, of course, with a more lucrative pay, which is why she actually went for it. But what basically happened when she first came to me, she was 4 months into her 6 months probation. And she was extremely frustrated because initially, right, she thought that everything was going really well. She's like, oh, okay, 6 months probation, no problem, right? I just went ahead and did how I used to operate at my previous workplace because I was top performer, right? But to her surprise, 4 months into the new job, her boss actually sat her down and told her that I don't think things are working. I don't think we will be confirming you at the end of the probation because I don't think you're meeting any of my expectations. So for her, it's really what she used to tell me, a fall from grace. Because for somebody who's such a top performer at one of like the biggest MNCs in her country, to being told within 4 months of this new job that she doesn't deserve to be there, they don't value her, and she is not adding value or contributing in any way possible, and the team is very unhappy with her. So it actually came as a shock to her. And when she first spoke to me, I think she was really, really, really upset, and she felt that there was something wrong with her. And secondly, she was extremely angry at her boss. She was extremely angry at the new company, and she was just angry at the whole world, right? Which, to be honest, I can understand, because as I told you guys before, and if you checked out the previous episode right before this, I told you guys that if you work with a top performer, you'll understand that top performers do not like to be told that they are wrong. They do not like to be told that they are not productive, and they do not like to be told that they are not achieving, or rather because in other words, they see themselves as being useless, which really damages their ego. And most top performers probably has a pretty big ego, and that was what happened to this client of mine. So she came to me and she asked me, she said, Mei Ping, I respect you a lot because I think you have that kind of career that I want, right? And can you please tell me, can you also help me understand what am I doing wrong? Because I did so well in my previous company and I am extremely shocked that I am now being told that I am not meeting expectation, and worse still, I am not going to get the confirmation after my probation, which to me is something so humiliating. I don't think I can take it. So those were pretty close to what she told me when she first came to me. So one of the immediate priorities that I focused on with her was because her confirmation was, she was due to get her confirmation results in the next 6 weeks. So one of the first few things I told her is that we need to understand how well you have been communicating with your boss, because just based on like some of the challenges that she told me, I think it was very, very obvious what the main root cause of this problem was. So there are basically two main root causes. The first root cause is that she forgot to align expectations with her boss. So if you can work for 4 months and not know what your boss cares about, you don't really know what are the main KPIs that defines your performance, that is a very significant problem. And I think that was something that either she was ignorant about it or she just never thought about it, right? So I always tell my clients, you guys need to know specifically what are your performance goals, what are your real KPIs, because there's no point putting in effort thinking that you're going in the right direction, but actually you don't even know what the targets are. So that was really like the biggest root cause that actually caused this entire problem to begin with, because if at the start she had sat down with her boss and understand what are her main performance goals, what are her expectations, then this thing probably wouldn't have happened in the first place, right? So now she's in a bit of a bad situation because she has wasted 4 months doing what she think was right, but actually it's wrong. Then her second problem actually is the ego. So like I told you before, one of the biggest issues for top performers, particularly those who have been doing well in their career up to that point, is that they consistently think that their approach and their thoughts or their views, their opinions is always correct. So she basically applied the way that she was working in her previous company to this current company without understanding the company's culture. She didn't really try to understand the team's focus. She also didn't try to understand how her boss communicates and how, and I guess her boss's working preferences. Because as you guys know, normally when I first start working my clients, I really focus on understanding their personality, their mindset, and how they have been approaching their relationships with other people at the workplace, particularly their boss. So when I asked her a lot of these questions to better understand her situation, I realized that she couldn't tell me any of these things, which only points to one thing, which means that she doesn't know. That is not a good thing. So because of that, immediate solution that I gave her was that you need to go and have a conversation with your boss, right? And I actually gave her a structure of how to approach it. She was very hesitant, and I remember, I think in the second session she cried because she said, like, I'm so frustrated, I think this is so humiliating, I don't really want to apologize to my boss because it's not my fault. So I told her that until you can overcome this mindset that it's like everybody's at fault except you, then you will never be able to move forward. And she really needed to focus on what was the most important thing, whether saying sorry, protecting her ego was more important, or getting that confirmation, which would then, move her career forward, is a much more important thing than, not wanting to say sorry because she had a very big ego. So we had to do a little bit of like practice to make sure that she could actually convey a lot of this I guess first proper conversation, adult to adult, boss to staff, with her boss. And eventually she did manage to do that. And over time we actually did catch up every 2 to 3 weeks just to make sure that she's on track. And the other issue that she also had, which really created all these problems, is that she is a person that is not very structured. So one of the things she used to tell me is that, oh, Mei Ping, I used to think that operating in chaos, so her exact words, operating in chaos was my biggest strength. But now I learned that this is not a good thing, and that's why everything is in chaos and I can't seem to get control of my stuff. Because I really had to teach her how to structure her work to manage different countries. So at that point, she was in charge of 10 countries and everything was in a mess because, she doesn't have a structure. So she just spent a lot of time in meetings, but really couldn't really drive a lot of the results. So I really had to teach her how to work around her priorities, how to navigate and work with different stakeholders, what to say, how to make sure that they commit to certain things and all those things. And these were things that, I experienced when I was working in the corporate world as well. Because at one point I was working with people from 43 countries. So I told her that, hey, your 10 countries is not the biggest problem. Like if you want to move ahead in your career, you want to become senior manager at the next level, then you need to learn to manage these 10 countries so that eventually you can manage 20 countries, 30 countries, 40 countries, and so on, right? So at the end of the day, I'm really happy to definitely announce that after the 6 week from the time that we first started working together, she actually did get a full-time confirmation. So she was confirmed as a team member, and in fact, not her immediate boss, but the actual overall business head actually gave her a really good feedback and told her that she is a really, really good local talent that they intend to groom. So rest assured, her career with the team is something that they will continue to invest in her development. So I think the biggest win for her was really able to turn around that very negative perception. Okay, when somebody tells you that you will not get confirmation, means that your performance is really bad, right? So I think to be able to really turn around that in 6 weeks was a massive achievement, because I really had to go through with her structurally how to position herself for that performance review, because at that point it was pretty much a do or die for her, and she doesn't sort this out, then it would have been a really, really huge issue. So I think that was really like one of the biggest achievements when working with her. And of course, since then, she was since promoted to a senior manager, given more responsibilities, that eventually she actually left this company to a much better company as well. So her career is definitely moving upwards and forward. And it really started off with that personal challenge of her having to absorb her ego and be able to move forward, because that was really more, growing her career and positioning herself for success is much more important than her ego at that point. So that's the story. I hope that this story has inspired you and also empowered you to really think about your career and also ask yourself, right, how important is your ego versus career opportunities? So this is just something for you to really ponder on and think about. And if my client can overcome that kind of personal limitations that she has set for herself, I am sure that you can also overcome the same. So as usual in this series, I hope that you get a lot of inspiration and feel empowered from a lot of my client success stories, and you can really go out there and take charge of your career. So with that, I will see you guys in the next episode. Until then, bye. See ya. Thank you for listening to this episode. For more awesome content like this, remember to like and subscribe. Also, head on over to my website, meiping.com, that's meiping.com, and subscribe to my weekly newsletter for more career growth and personal development tips. You can find the links in the description box below. Once again, you're listening to Gotta Ping, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!